Ah yes, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. Probably the most influential Zelda game ever made. A Link to the Past single-handedly changed the entirety of The Legend of Zelda. Without it, this series wouldn't exist as it does today. Recently, I've completed the game for my second time, to continue what I started last May. What I'm doing in today's video is talking about the game, about what I liked and what I didn't like. You know, that sort of thing. In my first video, I talked about Zelda NES, and said that I would cover every game in the series. However, that's not true. The reason this video took so long is that it was originally meant to be a Zelda 2 video. Unfortunately, I really do not enjoy that game, and every time I try and play it, I give up on it within the first half an hour of playing. So I decided, screw it, I'm going to jump straight to A Link to the Past. Luckily, since Zelda 2 is such a black sheep of the series, not many elements of that game carry over to future entries, since the gameplay is so radically different. This means the only things to talk about with this game are things that carried over from Zelda 1. Anyway, with that all out of the way, let's start talking about this brilliant game. We're going to start with the story. If you're expecting this to be a continuation of Zelda 1 or have any relation to it at all, you'd be wrong. Of course, some characters and locations share the same name, but in terms of the story itself, it's completely separate. A Link to the Past is the first game in the series to introduce us to the concept of different links. The concept of different Zeldas was technically introduced in Adventure of Link, but this idea was solidified with this game. Now, we know today that Ganon is the exact same character in both games, however within the context of this game that is not mentioned at all. Now, another thing we know today is that A Link to the Past is apparently meant to be a prequel to the original, but like I previously said, it really only acts as its own thing. Furthermore, a lot of things are established within the lore of this game, specifically mentioned within the manual, that have been changed, such as the origin of the Master Sword. I'm going to be mentioning these anyway, and as I make more videos like this, I'll be covering any changes to the lore that comes up. Like I said, I want to look at this game individually within the context of the time it was made. Anyway, now let's start looking into the story. In the beginning, mythical gods descended to the world and created order and life. The god of power created the land, the god of wisdom created science and wizardry and brought order to nature. The god of courage created life. Upon finishing their work, they left the world, leaving behind a symbol of their strength, the Triforce. The essence of the gods were left within this artifact. The Triforce had the power to bestow titles to its holders, the Forger of Strength, the Keeper of Knowledge, and the Drawer of Courage. The Triforce was unable to distinguish between good and evil. It was hidden within a world known as the Golden Land. From it beckoned people from the outside world to come seek it in the hope that someone worthy of the titles would find it. Within Hyrule, there are many Hylian buildings mentioned repeatedly in legends. These buildings are said to be extremely close to the Triforce, some actually housing it. Many see the Triforce as an extremely valuable artifact, thanks to a passage in the Book of Medora. In a realm beyond light, the sky shines gold not blue. There the Triforce's might makes mortal dreams come true. Many aggressively searched for the Triforce, however, no one truly knew where it was. One day, however, a gate to the Golden Land was accidentally opened by a gang of thieves. High above the world, the Triforce shone from its resting place. A long-running battle commenced, and the leader of the thieves fought his way through his followers in lust for the golden power. He defeated his followers and grasped the Triforce with his bloody hands. He then heard in a whispered voice, "If thou hast a strong desire or dream, wish for it." He wished to conquer the world. Upon doing so, the Golden Land transformed itself into the Dark World. Within the Dark World, he was given the resources to be able to build up his power so he could conquer the Light World and make his wish come true. The name of this man was Ganondorf Dragomir, or, as he's more commonly known as, Ganon. After the Golden Land transformed, Hyrule began seeing many disasters. The king sent 7 sages and the Knights of Hyrule to seal the entrance to the Sacred Realm. The people of Hyrule, attempting to combat this disaster, forged a sword. the blade of evil's bane, the Master Sword. Only someone with a pure heart could wield it. As the sages searched for an individual to take the sword and use it, Ganon's evil army attacked the castle. The sages and the knights of Hyrule fought together to defeat the evil. The 7 wise men used their magic to seal Ganon back in the Golden Land, trapping him there. Peace soon fell over the kingdom, and this devastating conflict would be remembered as the legendary Imprisoning War. Many centuries passed, and new disasters struck Hyrule. A wizard under the name of Aghanim came to Hyrule with the goal of destroying the seal and releasing Ganon. He killed the king of Hyrule and began making 7 maidens who were descendants of the 7 sages disappear one by one. This is where the story in the game really begins. Link was sleeping in his house when he suddenly heard a voice in his head. A girl named Zelda was calling out to the descendants of the Knights of Hyrule to come save her as she was trapped in the dungeons beneath the castle. Link and his uncle were the last 2. She explains how Aghanim had taken over the castle and made the descendants of the 7 sages disappear. She was the last one left. This message causes Link to wake up. His uncle tells him that he has to suddenly leave for a while. His uncle exits the house. Although Link was told to stay, he decided to follow him anyway. However, upon sneaking into the castle, the boy finds his uncle dying. His uncle gives him his sword and shield and passes away. Link searches through the castle for Zelda. Upon finding her, the 2 flee the castle in the sewers to the back of the throne room. They soon arrive at the sanctuary, where Zelda proceeds to hide. She tells Link that he must retrieve the legendary Master Sword. Link is told to find the village elder of Kakariko Village. Upon finding the elder, Sahasrahla, near the Eastern Palace, he tells Link that in order to obtain the Master Sword, he needs to find the 3 pendants. The pendants of courage, power, and wisdom. The hero proceeds to travel across Hyrule, finding them within the Eastern Palace, the Desert Palace, and the Tower of Hera. While climbing up Death Mountain to the Tower of Hera, Link meets an old man who gives him a magic mirror. Link continues on his quest, and he sees a strange blue thing on the ground. He steps on it and is transported to the Dark World. Using the mirror, he's able to travel back to the World of Light. After obtaining all 3 pendants, Link heads into the forest, and after wandering and searching, he stumbles upon a small grotto. Within it, sitting inside a pedestal, was the Master Sword. Using the 3 pendants, he was able to lift it, officially becoming a hero. However, all does not remain well. Soon after, he hears Zelda give out another telepathic message. She tells him that the soldiers are attacking the sanctuary and that she was found. Link rushed back to the sanctuary, however, he was too late. He finds the priest dead inside. He quickly rushes back to the castle, where he fought hundreds of soldiers with ease. However, yet again, he was too late. Aghanim sacrifices Zelda, causing the seal on Ganon to break. Within the coming days, at any moment, he could break free. Link fights Aghanim, however, just as he's about to defeat him, the wizard sends the boy to the Dark World, the former Golden Land. Within the Golden Land, Link hears Sahasrahla's voice in his head. He's told that in order to defeat Ganon, he must rescue the 7 maidens, the descendants of the 7 sages. Link sets off on his next quest, traversing across the Dark World and saving the 7 maidens within the 7 dungeons. The Palace of Darkness, the Swamp Palace, Skull Woods, Thieves Town, the Ice Palace, Misery Mire, and Turtle Rock. After rescuing Zelda, the last maiden in Turtle Rock, she and the other 6 rescued maidens use their powers to unlock a seal in Ganon's tower. There, Link fights Aghanim for the last time, where, after the wizard's defeat, it's revealed that he was, in fact, Ganon in disguise the entire time. Link chased him back to the pyramid, where the 2 have one last climactic duel. Now, Ganon is at his full power, in his real, mortal form. After a long fight, Link eventually destroys Ganon, and finds himself within a chamber. Inside, the Triforce revealed itself to him. It asked him to make a wish, and he wishes for all the damage Ganon had done to be undone. With that, the Golden Land turned back to how it once was. The king was brought back to life, his uncle too. The kingdom was brought back to peace thanks to the hero Link. Well, that's the story of The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. I know it's quite simple compared to the stories and lore we have now, but just like everything to do with this game, it established the foundations of how Zelda stories would be like going forwards. It introduced us to a lot of concepts, such as the 7 sages, the Triforce and the world being created by 3 gods, the fact that Ganon was a thief, and it introduces us to the Master Sword. It's not the craziest or most elaborate story in the world, but that's what makes it good. It's just a fun video game story that gets the player immersed in the world of Hyrule. Even though I believe that the story is an aspect of the game that makes Link to the Past brilliant, it's only a small part of it. The thing that makes it brilliant, overall, is the gameplay, which I'll be covering in the next part. If I included it within this video, it would end up being way too long. So look out for part 2, where I'll be looking at the actual gameplay of this brilliant game. With that out of the way, thank you for watching, and goodbye.